Part 35. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 345. Kotaro didn't even have the strength to fight back. He was entangled in chains, and the more he struggled, the faster he sank. Brother, wait a minute, let's talk it over. Wang Shuo summoned the mud puppet again. In the swamp, the mud puppet did not seem bulky, but was like a fish in water. Wang Shuo thought, if only he could move freely in the swamp like the mud puppet. The current cloud-stepping boots can't do that. It seems that he needs a better pair of boots, or a light body technique. Wang Shuo stood in the distance and continued to attack from a distance. Although Kotaro kept begging for mercy, Wang Shuo was unmoved. A few minutes later, Kotaro was killed. Wang Shuo asked the mud puppet to drag him out and confiscated the Shura order on him. A total of 5 pieces were obtained. In this way, Wang Shuo had 8 pieces. A good start. Wang Shuo was very satisfied. Wang Shuo discovered the power of the skill Abyssal Swamp, so he kept practicing the skill in this area. 2 hours later, Wang Shuo created a large swamp and upgraded the Silt Puppet skill to level 3. At this time, it was impossible to view the data. Wang Shuo estimated that the health of this puppet should be nearly 10,000. During this period, Wang Shuo tried to summon the 3-headed hellhound and found that De Huan could still be summoned, but other hellhounds could not be summoned. Wang Shuo also thought that if he summoned 1,000 hellhounds, he could sweep the entire first floor. Unfortunately, he was not able to exploit this loophole. Wang Shuo made some wall bricks. The durability of wall bricks that have not been fired in a brick kiln will be reduced by half. But at this time, he could only make do with it. Wang Shuo built a small house on the hard ground in the middle of the swamp and rested for a night. With De Huan guarding the night was peaceful. The next morning, Wang Shuo was a little hungry. Thinking of the 3 scheming people yesterday, Wang Shuo did not eat the food found on them. Wang Shuo now has 2 choices, one is to go hunting or find some fruits in the forest. But obviously, there will be risks. The second is to let De Huang bring a prey to him from the breeding space. In the breeding space, a large number of small animals are raised for the hellhounds to eat. Wang Shuo is still a little worried about whether De Huang can succeed. Not long after, De Huan came out with a goat. This made Wang Shuo very happy. He touched the heads of the 3 dogs, and then started to make a fire to roast the goat. Although the air here is already humid, Wang Shuo, as a senior general, his hand speed is definitely not comparable to that of his younger brothers who have been single for 20 years. After a while, he succeeded in making a fire. When the lamb was roasted on the rack, Wang Shuo sighed in his heart. When he was in the crocodile territory, his hands were rubbed with blisters, but there was no spark. He is now quite satisfied with his hand speed. Eating the roasted lamb, Wang Shuo began to think about the next path. We still have to go to Yingying town to take a look. At the same time, we have to kill more competitors and obtain the Shura order. After thinking for a while, Wang Shuo felt that if he had been hiding here, no enemies would come close at all. It seems that he still has to take the initiative to attack. After eating, he began to patrol the area. The edge of the swamp is still a dense forest. Wang Shuo doesn't know how to make any hunting traps. A crudely made trap will only make the enemy notice it, which will have the opposite effect. At this time, De Huang barked. "Stupid dog, don't bark." Wang Shuo was afraid of exposing himself. However, a beast roar came from a distance. Wang Shuo didn't find any large beasts all day yesterday. He thought there were only people here, but no beasts. Let's go and take a look. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 346. Carefully passing through a dense forest, in the open space in the distance, a giant tiger with sharp fangs was fighting fiercely with 2 people. A thin man, holding a long sword, was agile. The other person was a round-faced woman with a strong physique, not inferior to the man at all, and had 2 pigtails on her head. A terrible wound had been cut on the tiger's body. Obviously, the roar just now was probably made when it was injured. Wang Shuo rode on De Huang and suddenly appeared in everyone's sight, making Wang Shuo unable to be the 6th. Seeing Wang Shuo appear, the two became alert. "Hello." Wang Shuo waved awkwardly. After thinking about it, they might not understand the Blue Star language. So he said in the North Sea Empire language, "Excuse me, you continue." Then he turned and left. After walking for a while, he turned back and wanted to hide nearby to observe. After all, the fisherman is the real fragrance. Perhaps De Huang had no intention of hiding, so it carried Wang Shuo and rushed out of the dense forest. Wang Shuo was very upset. "Ha! We meet again. Sorry, to bother you, see you later." Wang Shuo wanted to find a crack in the ground to bury De Huang. He turned around again and left in style. This time Wang Shuo was more careful and drove De Huang back to the breeding space. Then he quietly turned back again, found a bush and hid. The 2 people and the tiger who were confronting each other in the distance were all confused by Wang Shuo. "Wang Quilian, if it doesn't work, let's retreat first. I think the kid just now was a little weird." "Swan, you are too cowardly. This saber-toothed tiger will definitely explode a demon pill. Are you sure you don't want it?" The brave will die of overeating and the timid will die of starvation. Let's make a quick decision." Wang Shuo heard the conversation between the 2. He almost couldn't help it. One is called Wang Quilian, who looks like a King Kong Barbie, and the other is called Si-Wan, I still have 8 barrels. After a stalemate, the saber-toothed tiger roared again and pounced on Wang Quilian. Wang Quilian was not afraid at all, raised her fist as big as a sandbag, and rushed forward. This blow directly broke off a tiger tooth of the saber-toothed tiger. Wang Shuo's eyes widened. "Which of you 2 is the tiger? What a tiger girl!" Swan seized the opportunity and stabbed the tiger with a sword again. The tiger roared continuously. But the saber-toothed tiger was huge and could still withstand a beating. The battle continued. The huge tiger roar attracted the nearby generals and wild beasts. After a while, 3 more people and 2 beasts came. Swan realized that something was wrong and stopped immediately. "Friend, you are standing by like this, isn't it inappropriate?" "What's inappropriate?" "We are just passing by," you continue. "Damn, only fools continue." Swan and Wang Quilian also left the battlefield. The saber-toothed tiger wanted to escape, but at this time it was surrounded by 5 people and 2 beasts. Strictly speaking, these beasts can no longer be called beasts, but demons. The level should be the golden boss level. Each of them is extremely powerful and their IQ is also terrifyingly high. At this moment, a big bald head among the 3 people who just came kicked a stone and shot it directly at Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo dodged casually, and the stone did not hit him, but he could no longer hide his body. Exposed. "Friend, you have watched the excitement for so long, why not come out and get to know each other?" The bald head forced Wang Shuo out, as if he had done something very ordinary. Wang Shuo was angry in his heart, but he did not show it. "Ha! I had a stomachache just now. Look, my legs are numb from squatting." Wang Shuo deliberately moved his legs exaggeratedly, doing pre-fight warm-up. Everyone immediately cast contemptuous looks at him. "I don't believe you. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 347. Especially Swan, who looked at Wang Shuo with an unfriendly look. This guy just came here twice, and now he comes again? It's clear that he has bad intentions. Everyone, I have a suggestion. There are 3 monsters here. Let's work together to kill them first, and then divide the monster pills equally. How about that? Wang Shuo was also a little puzzled for a while. Isn't the Shura order in our hands more precious? Why does it feel like everyone is fighting for these monster pills? Is this the opponent's strategy of confusing the enemy? To paralyze himself? No matter what, all the people and beasts here are potential enemies, that's right. What nonsense, that saber-toothed tiger was discovered by Swan and me first, and it must belong to us. As for the other 2 monsters, I'll give them to you. The King Kong Barbie Wan Quilian gestured with her fist in front of her chest to show her strength. The bald man and the other 2 did not talk nonsense. Obviously, they have recognized Wan Quilian's strength. New friend, what do you say? The bald man was quite afraid when he saw Wang Shuo in armor. People who can come here are basically not the kind of arrogant idiots. In the War General Tower, the law of the jungle is implemented more thoroughly, and it has always been the law of the jungle. Although Wang Shuo is alone, the equipment on his body has a huge deterrent effect on others. You know, in Yingying Town, those who can really have a set of armor are all top-level warriors with strong combat power. These people can summon the passage to the 2nd floor at any time. The reason why they have not gone to the 2nd floor for a long time is that they just want to accumulate strength on the 1st floor, so as not to become the bottom of the 2nd floor. In the 1st floor of the War General Tower, top warriors rarely come to the wild. Those who come out to hunt monsters are basically high-level generals. And for ordinary high-level generals, it is already very good to have a gold-level weapon, unlike this kid, who is already armed to the teeth. He really wants Wang Shuo to challenge a monster in order to test Wang Shuo's strength. Only in this way can he be sure whether to attack Wang Shuo later. Haha, I don't care. Everyone is a high-level general. They are all on guard against each other. Soon, the 3 forces have assigned their opponents. The reason why Wang Shuo is willing to stay is that he wants to observe the generals here more, see how they fight, and know what they are doing. Wang Shuo turned his head and looked at the red-haired baboon left for him. To be on the safe side, Wang Shuo still summoned De Huang. This move, in the eyes of Songbo and others, made them serious about Wang Shuo again. You know, among the masters of Yingying Town, there are not many summoned beasts at the gold boss level. Wang Shuo rode on De Huang, his strength reached the maximum, and he immediately attacked the red-haired baboon. The other few people did not hesitate and started fighting each other. Although there is no data, Wang Shuo can still use the skills. It is still Wang Shuo's usual attack route. With the powerful inner strength of the Black Dragon Sutra and the help of De Huang, Wang Shuo actually felt that he could completely defeat this boss. This made Wang Shuo feel a little happy. He had never fought a golden boss level monster before. He had fought a high-level undead general in several wars against the undead. At that time, he didn't have any special feelings on the battlefield, he just knew how to kill. At this time, fighting with the red-haired baboon, the experience seemed to be more profound. He could analyze his own skills and consciously predict the opponent's attack. It turned out that many skills had already been integrated into his instincts. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 348. Wang Shuo took some time to look at the other 2 battles. The saber-toothed tiger was obviously the strongest among the 3 monsters. Even if it was seriously injured, it could still fight. The one fighting with Songbo and the other 2 was a leopard, whose strength should be stronger than that of the red-haired baboon. But the 3 of them joined forces and gained the upper hand. It was only a matter of time before they killed the leopard. Wang Shuo no longer hid his weakness and went all out. When Wang Shuo was still a junior general, it was almost impossible for him to fight a bronze boss alone. But as a senior general, his level was improved, especially his qualifications were improved, a large number of attributes were added, and he learned martial arts and had internal strength. All this became possible after a few more rounds. The two dog heads on the left and right of De Huang bit the two hands of the red-haired baboon, and the dog head in the middle spit out a mouthful of corrosive poison towards its head, directly corroding a piece of the red-haired baboon's head. It struggled to break free from the dog head and immediately scratched its face with both hands. Seeing this, Wang Shuo immediately aimed the bloodthirsty gun at the throat of the red-haired baboon. The gun head went straight into the throat, and Wang Shuo followed with another horizontal cut. He wanted to cut the throat, but he failed, so Wang Shuo took advantage of the situation and pulled out the long gun. This blow had cut off the trachea of the red-haired baboon, giving it a fatal blow. Finally, after struggling for a few times, its huge body fell down with a bang. Wang Shuo's battle was over, and the other two battles were also coming to an end. Wang Quilian punched the saber-toothed tiger's head and blew up the brain. Then, she took out a demon pill from the broken head. Wang Shuo understood. The bald Songbo did the same, swung the long knife, cut open the demon beast's head, and took out a demon pill. Wang Shuo also stepped forward, and De Huang bit the red-haired baboon's head and spit out a demon pill from his mouth. Wang Shuo reached out to catch it. The imagined slime was not there. The demon pill was crystal clear, smooth, and neat on the surface, and was in the shape of a hexahedron and long strips. At this point, the battle was over. After seeing the battle process just now, several people had no intention of fighting each other. In particular, now there are three forces, forming a strange balance. Several people informed each other of their names. Then they chatted casually, as if they were already close friends. No other reason, several people wanted to find out some information they didn't know from each other. Wang Shuo also had the same idea. "Brother Song, what do you mean by the ranking list just now?" As soon as Wang Shuo opened his mouth, he exposed the fact that he had just arrived here. "It seems that Brother Wang has just arrived here not long ago. As long as you have been to Yingying Town, you will know that there is a stone tablet in Yingying Town, which shows the ranking of the people who have collected the most Shura orders." That's it? Wang Shuo didn't care about being known by others that he had just arrived here, as long as he was careful. When people talk, 3 things are true and 7 are false. If you say this, the other party may think that you are pretending to be a newcomer, and thus dare not act rashly. Later, Wang Shuo learned that the fastest way to obtain the Shura order is not to kill the opponent in the wild. This method is the slowest and the most risky. In Yingying Town, there is an arena where the generals can challenge and gamble with their opponents. Once they win, they can get a lot of Shura orders. There are even some people who are the banker and offer odds for gambling. Coming to the wild is more to obtain demon pills and collect some precious medicinal materials. Demon pills and medicinal materials can be used to refine pills. After taking them, they can recover from injuries, increase internal strength, or break through the limits of skills and ranks. Wang Shuo learned about this and had a deeper understanding of cultivation. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 349. Before this, his cultivation was mainly to improve his level, but here, the concept of level has disappeared. Because this place cannot be digitized. And through observation, they release skills more smoothly than himself, without the concept of CD. It seems that if he wants to achieve their level, he must also digitize. After a simple rest, everyone went their separate ways. Wang Shuo did not accept the invitation of Swan and Songbo and others to return to Yingying Town together. Instead, he left alone. After knowing the function of the demon pill, Wang Shuo wanted to kill more demon beasts. Moreover, they dismembered the main materials of the demon beasts and put them into a huge backpack. It is obvious that they probably don't have space equipment. It is even more inconvenient for Wang Shuo to act with them. If they suddenly form a group on the way, he may not be able to resist. After parting, Wang Shuo rode De Huang and left quickly. At the same time, on the way back, some simple obstacles were set up. As long as someone passed by, these obstacles would change and even make a sound. Wang Shuo put away De Huang, then climbed up a big tree and hid. He wanted to try whether these two groups of people would follow him. After waiting for an hour, no one passed by on the road. During this period, only a thumb-sized flower snake caught a squirrel nearby. It relieved Wang Shuo's boredom. Just when Wang Shuo was about to come down from the tree, there was a noise in the distance. Wang Shuo held his breath. Sure enough, Songbo and his two younger brothers came over. Wang Shuo's heart sank. Strangers are really not trustworthy. Wang Shuo thought about it carefully and was not sure about dealing with three people. He still had too few cards now. If Li Jiangguo's crossbow battalion was second, Wang Shuo would have shot these people into slag. Of course, it was too bullying for him to deal with three people with just one battalion. Wang Shuo didn't want to fight with them, so he could only stay still and didn't dare to make any noise. When several people walked over, Wang Shuo still remained motionless. After a while, Wang Shuo had to sigh at his own caution. Songbo and his two companions returned. A few minutes later, the three of them left again. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Wang Shuo decisively came down from the tree. He left in the opposite direction. Wang Shuo secretly remembered these people in his heart. If he had the chance, he would definitely kill them. Wang Shuo did not plan to go back to the temporary shelter he built. In the dense forest, with De Huang by his side, Wang Shuo moved more easily. 2 days later, Wang Shuo came to a black light gate. In the past 2 days, he had experienced several dangers and encountered 3 dark gold level bosses. In theory, top-level generals are qualified to fight dark gold bosses alone. But Wang Shuo tried it and had to escape in disgrace. He also encountered 4 gold bosses, and Wang Shuo was not polite and took them down directly. Near the black portal, after observing for a while, Wang Shuo decisively walked over. After stepping into the light gate, in a blink of an eye, Wang Shuo came to a teleportation square. At this time, people kept teleporting over. Since it was a short distance teleportation, Wang Shuo did not feel dizzy. He looked up. The town was dark all around, but the sky was bright inside. Obviously, this was caused by the formation. Wang Shuo was no longer surprised. Yingying town had 6 such teleportation formations, corresponding to hundreds of teleportation gates in the wild, to facilitate the generals to come back at any time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 350. The scale of Yingying town is very large, even comparable to that of Shanghai city. Various buildings are arranged in an orderly manner. Some are dozens of stories high. The styles of buildings vary greatly. The people on the street are of different shapes and colors. Some of them are wearing armor and carrying weapons, while others are in dire straits, like beggars. Especially those with broken hands and feet, they may not have the opportunity to realize their dream of becoming Shura warriors in this life. He walked around the whole town. Wang Shuo found the Colosseum, the arena, the Kasidagarba Pavilion, the Treasure Pavilion and other places. According to the introduction of Songbo and others and Wang Shuo's own understanding, Yingying town currently has several major forces, which control the Colosseum, the Treasure Pavilion and other industries. At the beginning, these organizations were to serve the public, but after countless years of evolution, they gradually became organizations that exploited the generals and became the dominant forces in Yingying town. The overlords who control these industries often change their masters, which is very chaotic. For newcomers, these organizations have little to do with them, after all, they are just passers-by. But for those who cannot enter the second level, they may have to live here for the rest of their lives. These forces have become a mountain that oppresses them. They either endure silently or join them. But there are two places where no force dares to intervene directly. That is the Dazang Pavilion and the arena. This is the original building of the War General Tower. The rules are controlled by the War General Tower. Anyone who intervenes will be directly wiped out by the War General Tower. Wang Shuo first came to the central square and checked the current rankings. The first place is Zoda, a top-level general with 99 Shura orders. Second, Baishuan Zongwu, a top-level general with 99 Shura orders. Third, Zhang Song. The following are, Linzhu, Nyon, Zhaokai, Leon. Wang Shuo found that the top 20 are all top-level generals, and the top 5 are only 1 Shura order short. As for the latter, the difference is much greater. Wang Shuo thought that it should not be difficult for them to obtain the Shura order. Perhaps they chose to stay here for other reasons. Then, Wang Shuo went directly to the Kasidagarbo Pavilion. This place can be said to be the favorite place for the generals who came to Yingying town. Because there are all kinds of skills and martial arts here. And it is free for everyone to practice. It is considered a basic welfare in the War General Tower. The Kasidagarbo Pavilion is in the center of the town. It is a stone house more than 10 meters high and covers hundreds of square meters. Compared with the houses built by others, it looks much more shabby. For example, the Treasure Pavilion opposite has carved beams and painted buildings, pillars, and green tiles, and is magnificent. But the Kasidagarbo Pavilion has its own sense of simplicity. Because of its long history, it makes people full of awe. The Kasidagarbo Pavilion is not open to the public at any time. Each person can only enter once a month. Seeing people constantly entering, Wang Shuo was still a little puzzled. Can such a small building accommodate so many people? Wang Shuo also walked in. At this time, Wang Shuo felt that there was a different world inside. Although everyone entered from the same door, after entering, Wang Shuo found that he was the only one in the whole hall. It turned out that everyone who entered here was in an independent space. Wang Shuo had to marvel that this War General Tower was indeed a grand work. After sighing, Wang Shuo began to observe the surrounding environment. The whole hall was in a stone room, and the stones on the surrounding walls were full of various classifications. Swords, spears, swords, and halberds, everything. At the same time, on another wall, there were various internal skills for cultivation. The third wall was a variety of weapons, but these weapons could only be used for people to practice and could not be taken out. The fourth wall was a light door, obviously, it was the door to go out. Wang Shuo was very excited when he saw these. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 351. Immediately check them one by one. He first clicked on the gunstone. The stones on the stone wall were arranged in a whole group, and finally a bookshelf appeared. There were hundreds of external skills about guns on it. Destroying gun skills, frost gun skills, red phoenix skyward gun, Hunshin gun. Wang Shuo was dazzled by it. Each kind of skill, when cultivated to the extreme, is considered to be infinitely powerful. Although it cannot split mountains and seas, it is not a problem to split gold and break stones. But there is a disadvantage, these gun skills are only yellow-level skills. And they also need corresponding internal skills to exert the greatest power. Wang Shuo thought about it and decided to choose the lowest level skill here, which even has no level, basic gun skills, to make up for his weakness of not having a gun skill foundation. At this time, Wang Shuo noticed that there was another box on this bookshelf. It said deduction of skills. Wang Shuo was shocked that there was such a magical object. His eyes lit up. He wanted to try it out. He put a copy of Hun Tian Gun into it and found no change. At this time, he seemed to feel that he had to put in his existing skills to have an effect. He immediately thought of his Yulong Gunju and wondered if there was any way to deduce it. Thinking of this, he tried hard to recall the entire skill in his mind. Unexpectedly, it really condensed into a secret book and appeared in his hand. Wang Shuo was a little surprised by this magical phenomenon, but this War General Tower was a miracle, so what was this? He put it in the box. He closed the lid and didn't know what to do, so he just prayed. At this moment, a sudden change occurred, and the whole wooden box flashed with light. After the change was over, Wang Shuo opened it again. Yulong Gunju really changed and turned into a mysterious skill. Wang Shuo was overjoyed. Dragon Spear Art, a Xian level technique, with 9 levels in total. When you practice to the first level, you can comprehend the dragon transforming strike, the third level comprehends the dragon out of the sea, the fifth level comprehends the flying dragon in the sky, the seventh level hits the yellow dragon, and the ninth level is the great power heavenly dragon. Currently, you can practice to the fifth level. Just then, Wang Shuo noticed that his dragon transforming strike skill disappeared. Also, although Dragon Spear Art has become a Xian level technique, it seems to have become a fragment. Oh my god! Is this a profit or a loss? If you can practice to the fifth level, it is considered a Xian level technique. If you practice to the seventh level, will it become a ground level technique, and then the ninth level, a heaven level technique? Wang Shuo guessed in his heart. Now that things have come to this, it seems that I have to find another opportunity to upgrade the level of this technique in the future. Afterwards, Wang Shuo wanted to click to learn. Although the book disappeared, Wang Shuo did not learn it, but only knew how to practice. Do I have to practice step by step? Wang Shuo thought that this War General Tower was full of weirdness, and he could only try to practice according to the cultivation method in the technique. Suddenly, Wang Shuo thought of his Black Dragon Sutra, wondering if he could still upgrade the level. In the same way, Wang Shuo put the Black Dragon Sutra in, but there was no reaction. Wang Shuo couldn't help showing disappointment. The Black Dragon Sutra was originally a ground level technique. And this small wooden box should only be able to be deduced to the Xian level. Otherwise, this small box might be a treasure of the heaven-defying level. And looking at the current situation, I'm afraid everyone can use it for free. Then, Wang Shuo began to practice according to the above method. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 352. After practicing for a while, Wang Shuo found that without systematic guidance, he was as good as a waste. Every change of moves, if the action is not done well, it does not count at all. In the past, the system guided and the skills were released directly, but now you have to take the initiative to make some actions to achieve this effect. This made Wang Shuo miserable. In desperation, Wang Shuo could only take out the book Basic Gun Technique and conduct the most basic actions such as point, stab, pick, and chop. In this way, Wang Shuo stayed here for 10 days. During these 10 days, many major events happened in Yingying town. The General Master Leon summoned a challenged the guard and failed, and died on the spot. Baishuanzong, the second place on the master list, remained undefeated in 90 games in the arena ranking, tying the first place Zoda. The top general Zhang Song killed a rare, dark gold level, boss in the wild and refined a promotion pill for his younger brother Zhang Mu, and Zhang Mu broke through to the top general in one fell swoop. Every day, some major events may happen in Yingying town. That day, Wang Shuo let out a long roar. He had practiced the Dragon Spear Art to the third level. As long as the posture was correct, the speed of recultivation was still very fast. After all, he already had the instinct to fight, but he needed to control the force and movements himself. As long as he practiced a lot, he could easily master these skills. The biggest advantage of dedatization is that the moves have no CD. As long as the internal force and physical strength are sufficient and the physical strength allows, he can continue to use the two moves of Dragon Transformation and Dragon Out of the Sea. Wang Shuo's current state is already in a semi-dedatized state. As for the last two levels of Dragon Spear art, Wang Shuo estimated that it would take several months to practice. He didn't want to spend time here. Within 3 months, he still had to find a way to return to Wanatown. He didn't want to give up this territory. When he came to the street, Wang Shuo wanted to find a restaurant and have a good meal. He had noticed before that the people here all used a kind of coin called Shura coin. After thinking about it, Wang Shuo walked directly into the treasure pavilion. This is a shop in Yingying town, which is the most powerful one in the whole town. Customer, what do you need? I want to sell a demon pill. Wang Shuo took out the demon pill that killed the red-haired baboon before. In this place, this kind of demon pill is just an ordinary commodity. The transaction was quickly concluded. This demon pill was sold for 3,000 Shura coins. Wang Shuo also took a look at the items sold in the shop. A golden spear weapon is worth 10,000 Shura coins, and a sophisticated weapon is also worth 2,000 Shura coins. This gave Wang Shuo a basic understanding of the market here. Can you introduce the pills here? Ordinary healing pills, such as the blood spirit pill, are worth 500 Shura coins. The chi restoring pill that restores the internal force value is 600 Shura coins. The true spirit pill that increases the internal force value is 10,000 Shura coins. Wang Shuo was not calm when he heard this. There was actually a pill that directly increased the internal force value. This is equivalent to the experience pill. It seems that more money is needed. Do you have any elixirs that can help break through the level of military commanders? Guest, this kind of promotion elixir requires you to provide an inner elixir of a dark gold boss. We can help you refine it. The cost is 100,000 Shura coins. If the refining fails, we will compensate you. Wang Shuo took a deep breath. This is really not cheap. Wang Shuo now knows how to break through the level limit. That is to practice the main internal skills to a certain degree, the internal force value will reach a certain limit, and then break through, and you can be promoted. At present, his Black Dragon Sutra has been practiced to the 3rd level, and he only needs to practice to the 4th level to break through to the top military commander. Before practicing, he didn't know that the so-called bottleneck was mainly because he used the military commander's job transfer certificate. Taking the promotion pill is equivalent to breaking the bottleneck, which is similar to the military commander's job transfer certificate. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 353. After leaving the treasure pavilion, Wang Shuo found an inn and ordered some food. Here, you have to have money to enjoy. There are many ways to get Shura coins. You can participate in the competition in the arena or the competition in the Colosseum. Or you can go to the wild to hunt demon pills and collect some precious medicinal materials, which can be exchanged for Shura coins. If you lose your fighting ability, you can also go to these big forces and be a waiter or something. Jobs like sweeping the floor and guarding the door also need people to do it. As long as you can put down your dignity and face, you won't starve to death. At the table next to Wang Shuo, several fierce people were discussing the afternoon competition. Brother, why don't we give up this afternoon's competition? The opponent is Zhang Mu, a newly promoted top general. What are you afraid of? In Yingying town, everything must follow the rules. No one dares to fight in Yingying town. So, don't be afraid of his brother Zhang Song. But the Song Zhang gang is large in number and powerful. If we offend them, we will not have a good harvest in the future. Someone at the same table worried. Yingying town is solid, but the generals are changing. The speed of power change in this place is faster than a young wife turning against her. Maybe in a few days, another force will rise, and it is not surprising to replace it. As long as we brothers are united, maybe the next Songjiang gang will be us. After talking with several people, Wang Shuo understood. This Songjiang gang is a powerful gang that has emerged in recent months. Zhang Song has risen strongly with his own strength and has obtained the qualification to sit on an equal footing with several old forces. Wang Shuo also had to exclaim, "Awesome!" After a hearty meal, Wang Shuo also wanted to go to the arena. Although no one could directly control the arena, there were still many buildings outside, and many forces were stationed nearby and built casinos. As long as someone went to challenge, they would open the odds as quickly as possible for people to place bets. Wang Shuo ignored those casinos and walked straight into the arena. At this time, there were two passages in a hall, one showing the audience seats and the other the registration office. The minimum requirement for participating in the arena battle is a Shura order. As long as both parties agree, additional bets can be added. These are the default rules of the arena. As long as you admit defeat, you will be teleported out. In other words, if you admit defeat in time, you will not die. After entering the registration office, it is also an independent space. Wang Shuo clicked to register. There are resurrection coins and a mechanism for admitting defeat. In the first battle, he was in a good mood. There are several ways to register. One is to make an appointment for a battle by name. This requires both parties to discuss privately, and then you can register. The second is the challenge mode, where generals can put themselves on the challenge list, and other generals can choose to challenge. The third is the random mode. After signing up, you can even hide your name and appearance. This is also the challenge mode that is least likely to expose yourself. Neither the opponent nor the audience can see the appearance of the contestant. Except for yourself, the equipment and weapons on your body will be unified. This also led to almost no one watching this competition. Wang Shuo participated for the first time and chose this random mode. Soon, the registration was successful. Not long after, Wang Shuo was teleported into a ring. On the other side of the ring, an opponent wearing white clothes and holding a long sword appeared. But on his face, no facial features can be seen. Wang Shuo thought, I should look like this in his eyes. Very good. In this way, this competition is very fair, and you can hone your fighting ability. Both of them rushed towards their opponents without any nonsense. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 354. The battle was about to start. Wang Shuo's recent experience with spearmanship has deepened a lot, and he was just looking for an opponent to test it out. So, he didn't release the control skill right away. Instead, he pointed the spear at the opponent's chest. This move was just to test the opponent's depth and was not very aggressive. The opponent immediately used a sword to push the spear away, and Wang Shuo felt the force from the spear. Both sides were attacking tentatively, trying to find the opponent's flaw. Just as the opponent approached and wanted to attack Wang Shuo's right hand holding the gun, Wang Shuo felt that this move was not easy to defend, so he directly used iron chain binding. Before Wang Shuo could make another move, the opponent actually lost his voice and said, "You actually have a confinement skill. I give up." His figure suddenly blurred and disappeared from the arena. Wang Shuo also teleported out quickly. Wang Shuo was surprised. Could this control skill be very precious? After thinking about it for a while, I'm afraid it is true. Wang Shuo only found skills with similar effects in a few secret books in the Casadagarbal Pavilion. It seems that in the future, it is better not to use the skill unless it is absolutely necessary. I don't know whether the skill can be preserved in the future after it is completely dedigitized. It is estimated that it is impossible. Then I have to think of another way and find another technique with the confinement skill. Then, Wang Shuo signed up again. This time, the opponent was an opponent holding a double blade. Judging from the figure, it should be a woman. Wang Shuo was also constantly trying his own moves. He first tried the Abyss Swamp skill and found that there was no problem. The woman on the opposite side immediately fell into the swamp. But she was agile, and she stepped lightly in the mud twice with her feet, and she actually flew into the air, and then took advantage of the force in the air and jumped more than 10 meters. This operation stunned Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo quickly tried his newly learned swift wind step. In the past 10 days, Wang Shuo also learned a body movement to make up for his lack of speed. Wang Shuo moved quickly at the edge of the swamp tentatively and found that he did not fall into the swamp. This result made Wang Shuo feel mixed. Although he could move quickly in the swamp. But if the opponent had also practiced similar skills, his swamp trap would be of no use. The woman with the double blades looked at Wang Shuo's behavior and felt a little funny. She immediately approached Wang Shuo quickly from the edge of the swamp. Wang Shuo flew directly into the swamp. After a while, Wang Shuo found again that if he did not move quickly, he would still fall into the swamp. And using the wind step for a long time consumes a lot of internal strength. Wang Shuo simply could not bear it for a long time. So, Wang Shuo also left the swamp and chose to fight with the opponent in close combat. This time Wang Shuo did not use the imprisonment skill, but continued to use the dragon attack and ordinary attacks. The opponent also fought him on equal terms. The fight lasted for more than 10 minutes, but Wang Shuo was the better one in the end, and used the move Dragon out of the sea. He directly knocked his opponent back, and although the opponent was seriously injured, he did not die immediately. The opponent immediately chose to admit defeat. Wang Shuo was also injured in this battle, and his injuries did not disappear when he came out of the arena. This made Wang Shuo's heart jump, and he must fight according to his ability in the future. After winning 2 games, Wang Shuo was already familiar with the process of the arena, so he did not continue to challenge. He got 2 more Shura orders, and with Wang Shuo's previous ones, there were a total of 10.